Oh, we'll have full reaction. We'll hear from them in Florida on Timbers Postgame, which starts right now. It was tense in the end, but the Portland Timbers 2-1 winners over the Philadelphia Union in the semifinals of the MLS's back tournament, sending them on to the final. Welcome live to Portland. We are in Providence Park for Timbers Postgame, presented by Old Trapper, where we will hear from the Timbers and we'll break down a semifinal victory for the Timbers, who will be just one of 2 teams ever to make it to the MLS is Back final. Good evening, I'm Jake Zivin, alongside Nat Borchers. They get the job done tonight, Nat.
Don't bet against experience, Jake. I mean, this is a team that came out, they had a game plan, they wanted to execute against a very good Philadelphia Union team, and it felt like they executed it to perfection, especially in the first half. They defended really well. They really kept Philadelphia Union from creating anything in transition. They overloaded wide areas, which was one of my keys to the game. And then, of course, Sebastian Blanco, he came to play again, and certainly scoring first was important for them. Ebobisse on the set piece, a second set piece, with Sebastian Blanco, and then, I think that they saw the game out, which is what experienced, mature teams do.
Yeah, 2 goals off corner kicks for the Timbers. It was tense at the end, though, those last 10, 15 minutes after the Philadelphia goal. The goal called back for offside, but they held on. How much did that show you tonight?
Yeah, I think, again, it just underscores this maturity idea we've been talking about throughout the whole tournament. Gio's talked about it. We've talked about it on the broadcast. When you have guys like Laris Mabiala, Steve Clark, Jorge Villafana, Diego Chara, Diego Valeri, and Sebastian Blanco, you can get games won no matter what kind of rest you're enduring. And this was a team that was on 2 days fewer rest than the Philadelphia Union, and they still were able to pull this thing off. So it just shows that the Portland Timbers are hungry, they're experienced, they've got the depth, and I think they just continue to roll this thing on into the final.
For the second straight match, the Timbers on 3 days rest, beating a team on 5 days rest, and they have earned themselves 5 days rest before that final on Tuesday. Here's how it went down today. The first goal, Jeremy Ebobisse off the corner.
Yeah, just really poor defending here from the Philadelphia Union. Ebobisse just goes in there to the top of the 6, and just all he's got to do is head the ball down. It's a wonderfully flighted ball in from Diego Valeri.
And then in the 70th minute, Sebastian Blanco off a corner.
And Blanco, of course, always the big man at the biggest of moments, just able to nod that in right past Andre Blake.
It wasn't easy, though. 85th minute, Andrew Wooten scores for Philly.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Union made it interesting here with that set piece, but fortunately the Timbers were able to pull it through.
Nervy moment, this goal called offside on replay. It's super close. It wasn't clear and obvious, so the Timbers get away with it, and they win 2-1.
Yeah, very fortunate one there. We're really not sure to see on that angle whether or not he was offsides, but the Timbers will take it. They had 2 soft penalties called against them in this tournament, so they're happy that the soccer gods smiled to them today.
And they are on to the final, which will be Tuesday at 5 o'clock, where they will face the winner of Orlando and Minnesota. That match is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. As I said, they can finally sit back and watch to find out who they'll play, and finally take a breather after 2 wins in short succession without much rest. They got through them, and they are into the final. This might be the only ever MLS is Back final. Hopefully it's the only ever MLS is Back final, right? I mean, it seems like you saw them in the locker room afterwards. Now, they're up for it, and they're excited to be in the spot that they are in, and a possibility of making history on Tuesday.
Well, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. This is the only chance you have to play in a tournament, in this fashion where, you obviously had a pandemic. You never knew if you were going to play again. And then you have this tournament that came together kind of out of thin air. And then, you have this opportunity where you're winning games, you're playing really, really well. And then you're able to take it all the way to the final. You're going to be remembered forever if you win this tournament. And so I think it's a huge opportunity for the club, for the players, for everybody involved, resolve to really get themselves into history books.
And on the line, a CONCACAF Champions League spot to the winner. The Timbers now just one game away from that. Also, their share of the winner's purse, which is the largest part of a $1.1 million prize pool. There's motivation. We've seen the Timbers. They've looked motivated during this tournament. I mean, you see what it means to them when they score goals, when they get wins. As a player, what's your perspective on the body language, like how much you see this means to the Timbers?
Well, I just watch the team in terms of their leaders, and it comes from, the top. Sebastian Blanco, you see what it means to him when he's playing these games. He's setting the tone with his tackles. He's making the right decisions on the ball. Diego Valeri, today we saw him coming back, making big-time tackles. Chara, Villafana, I go on. And just the leaders in this team are just really stepping up, and it really bleeds into the rest of the team when you have guys stepping up and having big performances who are experienced guys.
Yeah, let's talk about Blanco, man. Getting MVP buzz before this game, the thought was if the Timbers advance to the final, he's probably going to be the player of the tournament. If Philadelphia, maybe it'd go to Andre Blake, their goalkeeper. They're to the final. He gets the game-winning goal. You never want to say somebody's locked up that award before the final, but it seems like he has. I mean, he's been so good down in Orlando.
Yeah, he has. And there's been games the Timbers have played in this tournament where maybe they haven't looked as good, especially you talk about the Cincinnati match. The first, part of that match, they didn't look really sharp. Cincinnati was actually having the better of the play. They were playing better both sides of the ball, but for the Timbers, it just takes one moment with Sebastian Blanco to open things up. He gets that goal in that game against FC Cincinnati, and it's just a different game. You can talk about that probably every single match in this tournament where Blanco, he has stepped up in the critical moments, and he's made big plays.
2 goals off corner kicks for the Timbers tonight. What works so well for them on those set pieces?
We talked to Gio before the game, and he mentioned there's going to be some opportunities to really hammer the Philadelphia Union in set pieces. And I think a lot of that has to do with seeing some of that on the video and noticing there are some pockets maybe to attack in the top of the box, inside the box. And they did that. The balls that were flighted in from Valeri, set piece perfect. And then I think the execution, the guys were really up for it. They were confident. They had the energy, and that's really the difference in this game is those set pieces.
Man, the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, they're pretty crazy. I mean, how many chances did the Timbers have look like to go up 3-0, and they couldn't quite pull it off? When you're on the field in a match like that, and you're a defender trying to hold on to the lead, how are your kind of emotions when you see so many close chances on the attacking side?
Well, you're in that final 15 minutes of the match, and then things start to get a little bit crazy here and there, helter-skelter you might want to call it, and the game opens up. And as a defender, you're just hoping, do not let the ball come all the way back down the field to my end of the pitch. You want to keep it up there as much as possible. And then when you get your opportunities, you want to put them away. The Timbers didn't do that, and you thought that it might come back to bite them, but fortunately they were, again, mature enough to see the game out.
How unselfish is Yaroslav Nizgoda, by the way? How unselfish is he? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But now let's go to Orlando, Florida. Laris Amabiala with our Richard Farley.
Here in Orlando, just after you guys secured a place in the final, how does it feel? You're going to be going to the end.
It feels great. It feels great because the harder the game is, the better the feeling you have at the end of the game. I think we could have closed this game earlier so we could make it less dramatic at the end, but the guys responded the right way. It was very difficult tonight because we played against a very good team though, so this is why we will enjoy even more this victory.
Yeah, you talked about at the end it got a little bit hairy. The 2-0 lead became 2-1, but before that it was looking like one of the Timbers' best performances of the tournament. How would you assess the overall quality of the team's play tonight?
I mean, we executed the plan the right way. We did exactly what we've been talking about. We knew they would have the ball. Maybe we played a little bit too behind. We tried to have a higher block, but with the quality of the player they had, and at the same time, we got tired, so it was more difficult. But tonight we're very happy of the way we played, and even more the victory that we got on this game.
Hey, congratulations on the final, man.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Laris and the back line so close to their first clean sheet of the tournament. They didn't get it done, but still just one goal allowed. They've only allowed more than one goal once this tournament. That was to LAFC. They've been solid, right? And I think they did well to hold off what Philadelphia was bringing.
Yeah, I think they were really solid. And I looked at this performance defensively. Man, I thought that the first 45 minutes, maybe even the first 15 into the second half, they just looked so good. They were organized as a back eight, certainly. And then the back line, Jorge Villafana, I thought, had a standout game, made all of his tackles. The center backs also just won all their duels in the box. And I thought it was a really, really good performance defensively. You know, a shame they couldn't get the shutout, but again, something to build off of for the next game.
One guy who's always helpful on the defensive side of things, Diego Chara. He was with Richard Farley after the match in Orlando.
Here in Orlando, Diego, how does it feel? You're going to be going into the final game of the tournament.
Yeah, I think we feel great. I think we today play a great match. We try to control the game. We create a lot of opportunities. I think we could be better at the end. But finally, we are in the final, and we are really happy for that.
One thing that could have happened more, a lot of chances on goals, especially in the second half. Just some decisions could have gone another way. What was the key to generating so many chances?
I think we create a lot of movement in the attacking side. I think we were a little bit mobile and keep well the ball. And like I say, we need to be better. We try to be more effective in the attacking side, but we're happy for that.
Well, congratulations on another final, man.
Thank you.
The Godfather, Diego Chara, another final, as Richard said, for him, 34 years old. Little bit of an injury scare early in this match, had to get treatment, but he stayed in there, and man, he's so important for the Timbers, always.
Always so important to have Diego Chara on your side, and you saw the injury that looked like maybe a back injury early on in the game. We're thinking, man, he could have been subbed out, and that could have changed the game for the Timbers because his presence in there, behind the ball and obviously on the ball, just makes such a big difference to this team when we talk about that maturity and that experience in getting through tough games like this.
He has played every minute of this tournament, one of two players on the Timbers to do so. The other, Steve Clark. Diego Chara, one of the oldest players in the tournament at this point, still left, has still going, playing every minute so far. Let's take a look at the stats from this match. We're seeing a little bit of a trend, and we talked about it. It's kind of by design, right? The Timbers getting outpossessed today again by Philadelphia. One reason for that, they score an early goal in the 13th minute, but also part of the game plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're on short rest, you want to sit back a little bit and just absorb pressure and save your legs. You don't want to go out and high press the whole entire game, especially in that heat in Orlando. So I think they executed the game plan to perfection on the defensive end there in both games, Philly and New York City FC. And we'll see. I think Gio's shown he can be tactically flexible if he needs to change things up for the next game.
8 shots for Philadelphia on target, just 1 goal, 7 saves for Steve Clark and the Timbers, and a big missed penalty from Philadelphia as well, which we haven't talked a lot about. That was a big moment at the end of the first half. Maybe soft, maybe not. I don't think we got a good look at a replay, but a missed opportunity for Philly there, certainly, and one that the Timbers will feel good about kind of dodging, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were some big moments in this game, but you'd have to say that overall, despite the big calls and the big plays, the Portland Timbers deserve this win. They deserve this one because they played just so well, both sides of the ball, and so you can't go back and say, well, if this would have happened, that would happen. I think they deserved it.
Pretty crazy. They've conceded 5 penalties in 6 games in this tournament, and they haven't lost yet. Is that concerning, though, the number of penalties that they're facing?
Well, you have to look at the quality of the penalties, right? I think that both penalties, if you look at the last game's penalty and this game's penalty, they looked a little bit soft to me, and I think you go back on it, you have to say, okay, there were some maybe some bad decisions defensively that led to that, maybe some possession issues as well, but I think overall the Timbers have looked pretty tidy defensively, and I think when you have Sebastian Blanco playing as well as he has been, you're going to get goals in the offensive end.
And one of the players who scored those goals, Jeremy Ibobisi, 4 goals now in this tournament. He was part of the post-game press conference after this match. Let's go back to Orlando to hear from Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. We came here with 1 goal, and that was to lift the trophy at the end of the tournament. And now we're 1 game away. All the work that we've put in and all the sacrifice that we've put in has all starting to pay off, and we got 90 more minutes. And we've got a full team ready to step in. As you've seen tonight and you've seen in the previous nights, the strength of our group is in the collective. The guys that are coming off the bench, the guys that are being rotated in and out of the team, everyone has come in and put in a shift, and that's why we've gotten to this point. We're used to being in this bubble life. We've done preseason in Costa Rica, and been away from our families for extended periods of time. So I just feel that through this whole tournament, we've grown stronger and more bonded together. Yeah, I think, again, the strength is in our group, but ultimately we played to our strengths on the field as well, which is has been limiting space and then working off of that defensively when we could. But then we also have the freedom and the confidence of the whole staff to express ourselves on the ball. And that's why we take risks in the final third, whether it's trying to beat someone on the dribble, try to make a run in the box that maybe might put you out of position defensively. There's a trust within the coaching staff to the players and amongst the players on the field that, if we take risks because we're good players and we can make plays, that we'll have each other's back. So the togetherness of the group that we fostered over the last couple of years has been really special. Guys that have come in have fit in seamlessly, and now, you're starting to see more and more of the benefits of what we've put together as a group. And again, hopefully we have a different script than the 2018 final, but I think it shows to the resilience of this group that we're ready to go for another final just 2 years later.
Ebobisse, of course, started in MLS Cup in 2018. Imagine he'll start in this final as he scores his 4th goal of the tournament. Free header getting around Kai Wagner on the corner.
Yeah, and again, it's just a striker's goal. Jeremy Ebobisse has been scoring goals in this tournament because he's in the right place at the right time, and he's timing his runs really, really well, and he has confidence.
One thing that I found interesting that he mentioned was the amount of time the Timbers have spent away from Portland the past couple of years because of what you're looking at behind us, the construction of the new side of Providence Park. Specifically in the 2019 preseason, they went about 3.5 weeks away from home in Costa Rica and then straight to Tucson, Arizona, with each other in a hotel. That experience, similar kind of to the bubble now, maybe has helped them being comfortable in the situation that they're in Orlando.
Yeah, I think it does. I think you rely on those past experiences as a group to kind of get you through those difficult times. And they're in a place now in Orlando. It's not Costa Rica. You're still in the United States of America, and you're able to be together with your group. You're able to understand what it means to be away from friends, from family, and still get performances on the field. And I think that's where a lot of teams in this tournament have probably struggled, is they didn't have that experience as a group. They didn't know how to cope with it, and they didn't get the results. And so you look at the Timbers, they've had that experience. They've really worked off of the memory of those experiences, and they got the results.
Pulling the right strings again and getting his team to a 2nd final in 3 years in charge. Timbers head coach Giovanni Savarese. Here's his post-game press conference presented by Alaska Airlines.
A great performance from the players. Extremely proud in the way the guys were able to execute the plan. A lot of discipline, a lot of work, a lot of honesty in the game from the guys to make sure that we got a very important result. We created chances, we had opportunities, but then at the end the game became very tough. But the guys were able to prevail, and now we're in the final. And credit to all the guys that worked so hard today to get a very important win. Yeah, no, we don't play for the commentators. We don't play for the writers. We play for our fans. We play for ourselves, for the group, for our families. We have a tremendous belief in ourselves, and we're humble. We came here with a lot of humbleness to work, to make it difficult, to achieve something important, and the guys have been able to do that. So all the hard work has been for our fans and everybody, that believes in us, especially our families in Portland, and the fans as well. I think the guys execute the plan in a perfect way. The associations that we had in the side to make sure that they didn't penetrate. The hard work in the middle of everybody, starting from the 2 on top, Valeri and Jebo, making sure that the balls didn't go through, that their midfielders didn't get the ball, that there was no balls around the center and then switch upon of attack. There were a few times that they were able to find those spaces, but it was very rare because of the discipline of the group, how compact we were through the entire lines. And then once we got the ball, then we became dangerous. We kept the ball, we were able to go forward, we created chances, and there were a few moments in which they were able to find those spaces and make it difficult on us. But I think the guys did a fantastic job to stay disciplined in keeping compact, and they didn't have too many chances that I can recall, especially in the balls in behind our defenders. They were not able to find too many. Our guys did a fantastic job.
Giovanni Savarese's press conference presented by Alaska Airlines. He's gotten it right since the beginning of this tournament. 6 games, now 4 wins and technically 2 draws for the Timbers. Man, looking back, July 13th, Seems like a long time ago,
It
doesn't it? The game
seems
against
like
the
forever
Galaxy.
ago, doesn't it? Yeah, but you look at the way they won this game, Jake. They controlled the middle of the pitch. They were able to really dominate the middle of the field. And then you look at the game against Houston. They were clinical in transition moments. Blanco again finding Ibobasi for that one. And then this goal for me was fantastic team effort. Diego Valeri getting on the end of it and beating a team like Houston, which is so good in transition.
And then game 3, LAFC, they go up 1-0, but then go down 2-1. The first time they trailed in the tournament was in that game, and they come back and get a draw with that late Jeremy Ibobasi goal.
I love how they went after this one because they just were so good back and forth, hanging out with the LAFC, one of the best teams in the league.
Cincinnati was crazy, wasn't it? Penalty shootout, 1-1 the draw in the round of 16. They get to the quarterfinals, a 3-1 win over New York City.
Yeah, New York City. This was a fantastic strike. Of course, from our MVP of the tournament, Sebastian Blanco. One chance, one goal for him. And then you get those insurance goals from the likes of Diego Valeri, who's just playing in such good form. And, of course, Andy Polo with this absolute banger from distance to really seal things up.
And then tonight, a 2-1 win over the Philadelphia Union in the semifinals of the MLS is Back tournament. 6 games down, 1 to go. The 7th and final match of the MLS is Back tournament will be on Tuesday for the Portland Timbers. They've gotten it right, in this tournament. They've looked good. They've conceded a goal in every game like we talked about, but only more than that once. And that 2-1 scoreline, we've seen it in 3 of their 6 games, kind of feels a little comfortable for them. Get a couple goals, maybe concede one, but still hold on late.
Yeah, and we're starting to see just kind of a game plan here from Gio Savarese in terms of, hey, we're going to sit in a little bit and absorb pressure when we have heavy legs, and then we're going to go ahead and hit you on the counterattack. And then you saw different games where there's different styles of play from this team. So it brings me confidence, seeing this team play in different ways and just getting different results or getting the wins just based on those different styles of play. So I think they continue to do that. They're just going to continue to get better.
2-1, as it is maybe for the Timbers, 3 of the 6 matches at this tournament. And Jeremy mentioned something about the depth and like everybody being involved. And we see that. We see that again tonight. Zuparic getting on the score sheet with an assist. And again, they're bringing subs on that are making an impact, using all 5 subs. It seems like a lot of players are contributing, and I imagine that helps the morale of everybody down there.
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen a guy like Blake Bodley getting just a few minutes at the end of a game. You've seen Pablo Bonilla get a few minutes that are important to his growth as a player. And I think you just see him, again, when you have guys who are experienced, who are performing at a high level, it just brings everybody up to that level if you're a young player or you're inexperienced. And I think that for these players, these younger players, they're getting valuable minutes right now in a time period where they have to get them, and the team really needs them to perform well. So I think Gio is going to be just really happy with the overall depth and performance of his guys.
And they're getting big contributions from the big names, not just Sebastian Blanco, Diego Valeri as well. 2 assists tonight. Talked with the media after the match in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot for us. Always, you want to be in a final when you compete a tournament. It was one of our goals when we arrived here in the bubble, so we made it happen. Today, I think the performance was great. We could be more clinical on the chances we had after the second goal, but anyways, overall, it was a great performance, and it would mean a lot for me in this part of my career to get back to Portland with another trophy for our families and for our supporters. I think it's the quality of the whole group, right? The coaching staff and the players that we put all the sacrifice, all the energy to make this club bigger, and knowing that all happens into the field, right? And that's it. So besides all the stuff around our environment, we are very focused on our job, on prepare every game and execute it during the game. So it's one more step, and we know that still we have one more game to get the trophy. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I think it's a type of tournament you always want to be in. It's not easy to get in. It takes a long time during a regular season, and now we are 1 game to go. So besides winning the tournament, I think it's an extra motivation for me. Personally, I love to play that kind of international competitions. I think it's a lot of prestige for the club, for the league, and you want always being in, and yeah, it's gonna be the third time. So I really want to make it happen and play another time again. Yeah, I think it's, you know, as you have more trainings, more games, you can work much better on your principle and concepts, and the coaching staff is very clear on that, and we work over those principles and concepts all the time, and of course you can, you know, do it much better in the field as you know each other with the time, and I think that is part of our success. And then obviously every game has a different kind of strategy, right? But always under those concepts and principles, and then it's just the belief we have from the coaches down to the players, and the players to the coaching staff, and at the end we all have the same mindset, which is make this club and this team better every game and every season. And I think that's the strength of this team, of this group.
Diego talked about the CCL. That's what kind of his middle answer about what it would mean to play in the tournament again. The CONCACAF Champions League. The winner gets a spot. Timbers are 1 game away from that. It's a big deal. You played in that tournament with RSL. Big deal for the Timbers. And to just be 1 game with that on the line, that's something that matters, clear to Diego Valeri. And it should matter, right?
Yeah, it should matter. I mean, because if you're playing in that tournament, it means you're a champion, and it means you're a winner in your own league. And then you're putting yourself up against the teams in different leagues, you know, in Mexico and Costa Rica and Panama. And those are big games. They're meaningful games, and they really help you grow as a team and as a club. So they're really important. To get into that tournament, and that competition is going to be fantastic for this team and for this club.
1 game to go. The MLS is back final on Tuesday against either Orlando or Minnesota. They play tomorrow. Let's go to our Carl's Jr. look ahead, and we'll start by looking at one of the possible opponents, Orlando. Kind of a host, you could say, a surprise of this tournament to make it to the semis.
Yeah, and a team that's in good form. Tesho Akindele is scoring goals from them up top. They've got a number 10 in Pereira who also can score, and they've done a good job in terms of having that belief, that fight, that mentality that I think Oscar Pereira has really given them. And they're definitely a difficult team to play against. They've got a guy named Nani, who you may know as well, who can score some goals. So they obviously are going to be a tough team.
The other team, other possibility, Minnesota, who's been flying. They beat San Jose 4-1. They beat the Timbers 3-1 in the opener here at Providence Park. Timbers know them well.
Yeah, they looked lethal against the Timbers here at Providence Park earlier this season. But they're also a team who's scoring goals. Seems like they've just got things together on the attacking end with guys like Ethan Finley, and certainly just Luis Amaria as well. And it just seems like they are clicking on all cylinders with Adrian Heath's team.
Tuesday, 5:30, ESPN, the Timbers versus either Orlando or Minnesota. Our Carl's Jr. look ahead for the MLS is back final. Orlando and Minnesota play tomorrow night in the other semifinal. Who do you have in that match? Now, who do you think the Timbers are going to play on Tuesday?
Well, I have a bet with Ross Smith here, and I think it's going to be important, hopefully, that I win that and I don't get any punishment. But I'm going to go with Minnesota because I think Minnesota's been the stronger team in this tournament. I think that really back to front, they just look like they're more organized. They've got a game plan every time they take the pitch. I think they've got good goal scorers. I think they've got a really strong midfield as well, and they can transition quickly. So I think they're going to be the team that comes out of that game.
Minnesota, a good team. Orlando, a surprise team. We'll find out tomorrow night who the Timbers will play in the final. One thing we know about what the Timbers will use in the final and what has helped them get so far in this tournament, that is their team depth. They've had 4 goals from subs during this tournament, and so many players getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, you have to have depth in a tournament like this. You have a 4-month layoff. You're going to have some tired legs when you get to this point in the tournament. And Gio's done a great job of rotating players, getting guys like Marvin Laria minutes, getting guys like Pablo Bonilla minutes, and certainly guys like Eric Williamson have come on very, very strong, you know, in key moments to really carry this team.
And, man, you can have depth. That's great. You also want to have a made man, right? And right now, the player of the tournament, Sebastian Blanco, 3 goals, 5 assists, getting the accolades for good reason.
He's been unbelievable, this guy. It just seems like every time the Timbers have needed a big moment, he's just showed up and he's provided one, whether it's a clinical finish or it's just a killer pass for that finish. You know, he's been there. He's also been an emotional leader, I think, for this team, you know, as they've gone through difficult moments, you know, going down a goal against NYCFC and, you know, being able to pull that game out of a hat. I think, you know, he's just shown how important he is to this team.
We go over kind of some other takeaways that we've had through 6 games. Yaroslav Niezgoda, he has 2 goals and an assist, and he's an unselfish player, and we've seen him now for the first time. What have you made of him?
I've been pleasantly surprised by Niezgoda. He's done a good job of holding the ball up, of making that run in behind that the Timbers have needed, but also finishing the goals that he's needed to finish. And he's also very unselfish. He's always finding that next pass that finds the open player for the chance.
Tonight, a couple moments where you're like, shoot it, but he decided to lay the ball off. This was a crafty move as well.
He's got the meg too. His speed, I think, is underrated as well. And so I think that he's been a good signing, a good pickup for the team, and definitely needed in these moments.
And finally, another player, a topic that's been getting a lot of buzz around the Timbers run, Eric Williamson, who got another start, his 5th start tonight. How do you think he played tonight against Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it was probably one of his better games of the tournament. I think against LA Galaxy, he looked really comfortable on the ball. He really moved things around for the Timbers and created a ton of chances against LA Galaxy. I thought he had some pretty decent performances since then, but this again was another strong performance from him, just in terms of winning, those second balls, playing that pass, just making good decisions. And I think defensively, the kid's got an edge now to him that I think he's needed.
As we wrap things up here at Providence Park in the Timbers post-game show, Nat, Timbers to the final. What are your overall thoughts on tonight heading into next Tuesday?
Well, I think that the Timbers are definitely rolling with confidence right now. We talked about so much maturity, so much depth, but now something really, truly to play for, a trophy. And it gives me goosebumps to think about the team being back in a situation where they can win a trophy, and in a period of time where, hey, the city of Portland would love to see them do this and love to celebrate something during a very difficult moment in time. So I think it's going to be fantastic to watch the final, and I think that the team is playing with tons of confidence.
It's been really nice to be back at it, really nice to be able to bring this to you, to talk to you all out there. I hope you've enjoyed watching the tournament as well. Hope you enjoy Tuesday. The Timbers in the MLS is back final on Tuesday at 5:30 on ESPN. They'll face either Orlando or Minnesota. They get it done in the semis. Wasn't easy. It was tense at the end, but a 2-1 win over the Philadelphia Union has them advancing. For Nat Borchers, for our entire crew here at Providence Park, I'm Jake Zivin saying good night. Enjoy Tuesday. Timbers on to the MLS is back final.